Hey guys, welcome back. So last time we were able to create this screen here, but we're having some dummy content. Now in this video, let's go ahead and put some dynamic user preferences and also go ahead to implement a way for a user to save their preferences for the name format and also for the sort order. I believe we should have the sort order. No, we don't. So in the options, let me go there. Looks like we are missing the sort options. Yeah, we actually are missing them. So I'm gonna go here and also add them. So this is gonna be sort by. So sort by, then we can just say first name here. Save it, and you see that now we have this. So the importance of using an array here is, you see, we can quickly add options to this array without having to write any JSX. Yeah, so which is good. So now let's go ahead and first display the correct email of the current logged in user. So to do that, we're going to be using use state to manage our state. So I'm going to come here and have some use state for the email. So this here, basically we are setting a local email to null, and then we want to run a use effect. So when a user comes to this screen, we want to be able to go ahead and fetch the user that is stored in local storage. So here I'm going to have a use effect. So it's going to run once. So this use effect, let's make sure we are importing it. So we can come over here, make sure we have use state and use effect. Save that. So now that we have this, inside the use effect, I'm going to call a function called get settings. Like this. So let's create it. So now I can come over here and create get settings. So this is going to be an async function because we want to be working with async storage in there. So now in here we can now see how to get the user from async storage. So to get the user, you want to do const user, then we want to do async storage. So async storage dot get item. So the item is going to be user. So you can do user. Now since user was an object, was a JSON object, and we stringified it, we want to pass it again. So here we can do set email, then we want to pass the user dot email. So we can here, so here we can do user. So here we can do JSON dot pass, since it's a string. So we're going to be passing the user's email, but first, so we're going to pass the user now, and then that's going to now be JSON, and then we can do email on it. So save it. So now that we have updated this email, we can come over here and make sure that we update it here like this. So first it's going to be null, and then it's going to update. So if we save, we need to await this one. So you need to do await here. So await async storage get item. So when you save it, you see that our email is being displayed here. Good. So another thing is, whenever we click sort by, we want to show a modal that the user can choose either if they want to use first name or last name. So remember how we created the modal component in the previous videos? So we're going to be using that. So to use it, just first go where it is. So modal is app modal. So to use it, we need to supply these props here. So I'm just going to go to our settings component, and then I'm going to go here. So I'm going to use some fragment syntax here and have a modal. Remember we called it app modal, so we want to make sure that's the one we are using. So here we need to pass some props. One will be modal visible and these other ones. So modal visible, for now it's going to be false. We need to be passing dynamic ones. So for the footer, remember it has to be some JSX. So now we don't actually want to show any footer in this case, so we can just pass some empty fragment. So for the body, it also has to be some JSX. So let's have a view there. So for the title, we can just say something like sort by. So set modal visible would be a function to change the visibility of that modal. So we're going to be creating this. We need to create these in our parent component and send them back. So for the modal visible, I'm also going to say modal visible here. Let's also create it here like this. So if we save this, we need to close our fragment. So we can come down here and close it. So you see that now this is showing. So it is showing because this is a null value. So it is showing because this value is not actually there. So what we want to do now is go to our parent component for the settings and have some declaration for this. So we can now come in and say const modal visible set modal visible. It's gonna be false by default. Now that we have these, we can send them to our child components. So we can come here, send them. So set modal visible is gonna be to the one we know. Then set modal visible is gonna be to the one we know. Okay, so now that we have this, you notice that since it's false by default, it's not gonna show here. But if this ever changed, actually it should start out as false, not null. If this ever changed to true, then it should show. So now how do we change it to true programmatically? So we're gonna have an on press on this, on the sort by. On the on press, we are just gonna say set modal visible to true, like this. Save it, and now we can come click here and it should show. Right now it's not showing. That's because our on press might not be handled properly here. So what we want to do now is go to our child component where we have this touchable, and go where we have this touchable, make sure that it is also using this on press. So we can come here and say on press equals on press. So save it. Now when we click here, you see that it shows. Like from the original one, you notice that when we click sort by, we show the model with the sort by and then the currently sorted, the current value to which the sort by is. And by the way, if you wanted to keep the footer there on this model, you guys already know what we would do. We would just come and disable this and it will come with the footer. But now that we don't need the footer, so now we need to put those two options, the first name, last name, and then the current selected one. Okay, so the easiest way to work with those is also to have them in an array. So I'm gonna come over here and also create the preference arrays. So const pref array. So this is gonna be an array. Then of course we're gonna have the name. So remember, one of them is gonna have an icon, like the checked icon if it's the current selected value. So here, first off, this is gonna be first name. Then we also want to have a selected property. So now it's gonna be set to false, but every time it is true, then we are going to be enabling the other checked icon. So let's also have the last name one. So we're gonna come over here, put a comma, and also have last name. So save it. We can come down here and pass this down to the child component. So you can say pref options will be the pref array. So if we come back here in the model body, we want to be mapping over those. Let's make sure we pick them from the props since we are sending them. So we want to do dot map. So when we do dot map, we can get the name and also the selected value. Also we're going to need an on press because when a user clicks it, they should change it. So let's have on press. Let's also remember to send it. So here we will be returning a view. Here I'm going to have the text. Actually, I'm going to use a touchable opacity, then have a text view here, then show the text here for the name. So here we can have name like this. Save it, and you see we have first name and last name. Now to show the icon, we are going to check if the current value is the selected one. So if it is the selected one, then we are going to be showing the icon. So now here we can say icon name equals checked and close it. Let's make sure we are importing the icon. So here we can do icon. Let's import it from our own like this. So here if we do true, you see that it's not showing. So let's send some types. So type, let's check if material has some checked material like this. Oh, it's actually not. So we need to go ahead and check which one. I believe it should be check. Let's check. So if we do this, you see there's a checked icon. Now this should of course be spreading from left to right. So we're gonna have a style here. So here we can do flex direction, row, align items, center, and move the things there. So for the text, let's increase the font. So style, equals font size 17. Also, we will be giving it some padding on the left. Let's give it a 15, and it's looking good. So for the icon, this is looking small to me. So what I want to do now is come over here and also give it some size. So you can do size, let's do like 21, and that's quite bigger. So that looks good to me. In fact, let me change it to 17 so it's not so big. Then this should only show when selected is true. So here you can pass selected. Also, the on press, since we are getting it here, we need to be sending it. So each of these items should have the on press. So on press, it should be a function. Also, we should make sure that this other item has the on press. So let's do that. Okay, so now you see we don't have the icon showing. So now what you can do is when a user clicks this, let's say a user clicks here. Oh, by the way, let's see. So we don't want a user to click around here and dismiss this model. That is what's happening here. So we want to go to the model component and see the on press we have. So the model component, let's go there. Yeah, so this is the one. So we don't want this to be clickable like this. So we can come over here, remove this on press like that. Okay, so now a user can open it. Oh, it can't be closed. So we need the close on touch. We need the close on touch outside. So meaning we can keep this one, but we only run it when the close on touch outside is true. So here we can do close on touch outside like this. So if it is true, then we can close it. We can do if, then we can close it. So by default it's gonna be true. Now I'm going to be using prop types here. Now I understand we have not covered prop types, but if you wanted to do something like we are doing, we want to add prop types. So here you can come here and say yarn add prop dash types like this. Then we want to import prop types, so import prop types from prop types. Then down here we can say app model dot prop types equals an object. So let's work with the cancel on touch. How do we call it? Cancel on touch outside. So here we will say cancel on touch outside is gonna be prop types dot boolean. Okay, so now that it's not a required prop, if we wanted the user to supply it every time, we would say is required, but now that it's not required, we need to specify a default prop. So we can come over here and run dot default props. Then it's gonna be true by default. Okay, so that makes it able to close all the time, but not when we say don't close. So for us to specify that it shouldn't close, we can come here and say close on touch outside, set it to false. So now when it's open, a user can't close it by clicking anywhere outside. So when they click outside, it doesn't work. It only closes when they click the close button. Actually, the close isn't working, so we want to make sure the close is working. So to check, we want to go here. So actually we have this icon here and we didn't actually handle the on press. So I'm just gonna put this in a touchable, then have an on press. So this on press can just close the model regardless. So we can say set model visible to false. Then let's move our icon in there. So I'm gonna copy it, bring it here and save. So now we can close it by clicking the icon. Okay, so when we click outside, it doesn't go, it goes only when we click the icon. Good, so that's what we want. Now we want that when a user clicks on first name, we close the model and also be able to persist that the user wants to sort by the first name. So the way we're going to do that is here in this small array where we have on press, we're gonna be calling a function called save setting. So when you call save setting, we will be passing it the key. So here we can say sort by, then the value. So the value here will be the last name. Okay, then we'll do the same thing. This will be the first name, not last name. Then we will also be doing the same thing for the last name. So here we can do last name. Okay, so let's create save setting. So we're gonna come over here and create save setting. So const save setting, it's gonna take in the key and then the value. We need to use async storage to save it. So here we can say async storage dot set item. So we're gonna be setting the key and then the value. So that means if we send something like key will be sort by, then it's gonna be set here as sort by. So now that we save it like this, we also want to update the sort by value so that here, let's say a user clicks, they can be able to see that it updated here. So what we're gonna do is I'm going to have another state called sort by. Then we're gonna have set sort by. Okay, so then of course it's gonna start out as null. Then when we come to this component, we are going to be fetching the sort by property that we have here. So here where we fetch the email, right here, let's also go ahead and fetch the sort by. So we can come over here and do a fetch sort by. So if we have the sort by, we should be able to update our sort by property. So we can say if we have the pref, then set sort by. If we have this preference, if a user had set it before, then update our local state with it. Also, whenever we update it, let's say we update it from the UI, let's say we say save sort by to this. Also, we want to call set sort by to this value. So this now is gonna be the first name, like this. Then we want to do the same thing when we update using the last name. So this can be last name. So save it. Now, instead of us having to come in and here hard code first name, we are going to be using the property in the sort by. So we can say sort by here. So save it. So by default, it's gonna be nothing. Okay. But now when a user comes and they save, let's say they click on sort by, they click on first name. Yeah, so whenever we need to handle the click for when they click on first name, so you notice that here where we have when they click on first name, we need to update it and also close the modal. So set modal open, modal visible to false. Also we want to do the same thing for the last name. So save. So now they can click first name. We are closing it, but it's not. Let's make sure we have the on press down here. So we're gonna come here, also make sure we have this on press. Make sure we have on this touchable opacity, we have on press. And then this on press should be hooked up with the on press. So save it. Now when a user clicks first name, you can see that we save it as first name. And when a user opens up, and they click on last name, you see that it's last name. So we can change it like this. Also, we need to show now the checked icon whenever the selected item is any of these. So I'm gonna come to our definitions in the settings screen. So where we have the selected value. So on the selected value, I'm just gonna be doing one single check. So for the selected, it's going to be true only when the sort by equals last name. Similarly, the selected for the first name will be true when the selected will be first name, like this. So now if we come here and click on sort by, you see that first name is checked. If we select the last name and come, you see that last name is checked. Now whenever one is checked, you notice that there is some padding issue there. So what I want to do is go to the JSX. So I want to check if the current, if the item is the selected one, then we will be adding some padding to the other one. Yeah, so the padding left here, we're gonna check if it's the selected one. So if it's selected, if we give it 15, otherwise we give it 0, let's see how it will look. So you see, if it's 0, then it goes here. But what we want to do now is give it even more. So let's give it like 30, and you see that it goes here. So if we click first name, you see first name is looking good. Then click last name gets the check, and it's okay. So let's also give it some padding on top, this whole item. So padding vertical, let's give it, so vertical will apply top, bottom. Let's give it a 10 and save. 10 is large, is big. Let's give it 5. And this, I believe, looks a lot better. So if we left this up, let's say we went out here and came back to the settings screen. Let's say we went to settings again. So last time we were sorting by first name. Let's set it to last name, go away, and then come back. You see that it is still last name. So in the next video, I'm gonna come in and we sort this list here. I hope you found this helpful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you soon.